We're about to hear from the feds in California any moment now following a dramatic pre-dawn raid.
Charges against a dozen people, they say assaulted law enforcement officers.
The latest arrests, people accused of lighting squad cars on fire, throwing rocks, and pepper spraying agents.
Federal and local law enforcement have just executed one of the largest civil disorder takedowns in recent California history. In a series of pre-dawn raids across Ventura, Santa Barbara, and Los Angeles counties, FBI agents, Justice Department prosecutors, and Homeland Security agents. Security investigators arrested 10 suspects tied to violent immigration riots that erupted earlier this year near Glass House Farms in Camarillo. The coordinated sweep, conducted under sealed federal warrants, comes after a months-long DOJ investigation into a network known as VC Defensa, a self-described rapid response organization that tracks and obstructs immigration enforcement operations. Prosecutors say this group crossed far beyond peaceful protest, evolving into an organized network built to interfere with federal law. According to the FBI, the arrests represent a decisive move to restore order after months of escalating harassment against federal agents working in the field. The operation stems from a July 2025 confrontation in which federal immigration officers, executing court-approved warrants at Glass House Farms, were ambushed by organized demonstrators. Agents reported that the crowd, many wearing masks and tactical gear, erected a barricade of farm machinery and vehicles at the main entrance, forcing the federal convoy onto a dirt service road. As officers attempted to exit, rocks, bottles, and debris rained down on their vehicles. One contractor suffered head injuries from shattered glass. Minutes later, a secondary ambush unfolded along a north side access road where attackers used bicycles and pickup trucks to block escape routes, trapping the government convoy in a narrow corridor. Video evidence shows multiple subjects striking windshields and throwing heavy projectiles while shouting anti-federal slogans. 4 federal vehicles sustained structural damage before agents managed to break through the blockade. What began as a demonstration quickly turned into one of the most violent assaults on federal personnel in Southern California in over a decade. By the end of that night, more than a dozen suspects were identified through video, digital surveillance, and encrypted communications later recovered from seized phones. Prosecutors say VC Defensa operated under a chain-of-command model, assigning distraction teams to engage officers and document teams to film and broadcast the chaos online for political effect. Court filings describe the event as a planned obstruction of federal immigration enforcement rather than a spontaneous protest. In the aftermath, 12 individuals were charged in 3 separate federal complaints for conspiracy to impede and assault federal officers, civil disorder, and destruction of federal property. 10 are now in federal custody. 1 remains held at a state facility pending transfer, and another, believed to be the group's main enforcer, is on the run. Officials confirmed that if convicted, each faces up to 20 years in federal prison under enhanced penalties for violent interference with government operations. The arrests were carried out under the broader DOJ initiative known as Operation Glass House, a multi-agency campaign designed to target criminal networks that disguise violence as activism. For the residents of Ventura County, the crackdown ended months of uncertainty that followed the July riot. The Glass House site, once surrounded by burned vehicles and barricade debris, has now become a federal evidence zone sealed by Homeland Security agents. Officials say this case will set the tone for how the United States handles violent resistance to immigration enforcement going forward. By responding with overwhelming coordination, airtight indictments, and a clear message. Protest is protected. Ambush is not. Within hours of the coordinated raids, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California unsealed 3 criminal complaints charging 12 individuals for their roles in the Glass House Farms ambush. The indictments outline a deliberate, premeditated plan to attack and obstruct federal officers executing lawful immigration operations. 10 of the defendants were arrested in the morning sweep. 1 remains in state custody awaiting transfer. And 1 fugitive, believed to be armed and in hiding, remains at large. Prosecutors say the group faces a mix of charges: civil disorder, assault on federal officers, destruction of government property, and conspiracy to impede federal law enforcement. These are not symbolic filings. If convicted, the primary defendants could serve up to 20 years in federal prison under enhanced sentencing guidelines for violent interference with government operations. Officials emphasize that the defendants' actions, blocking roads, ambushing vehicles, and assaulting agents, fit the legal definition of coordinated domestic disruption, not constitutionally protected protest. Federal charging documents identify Reyes as one of the key organizers, a 29-year-old Ventura resident accused of using her personal vehicle to create the initial blockade at the Glass House property entrance. Prosecutors allege that Reyes used social media to rally other members of VC Defensa, broadcasting coded alerts and real-time updates as agents deployed. Carrillo, another identified suspect, is accused of throwing rocks and striking a DHS vehicle windshield while shouting instructions to the crowd. A third defendant, Delgado, allegedly supplied gas masks and homemade shields to participants before the riot began. Evidence obtained from encrypted group chats shows pre-planned roles. Some participants assigned to block exits, others to record and amplify confrontations online. Investigators say the group functioned more like a paramilitary cell than a protest collective, relying on surveillance, coordination, and digital messaging to outmaneuver law enforcement during enforcement operations. The federal response has been swift and emphatic. Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley told reporters, "There will be zero tolerance for violence against law enforcement."
Vehicles were damaged and a federal contract employee was injured as a rock went through her vehicle window, shattering the glass and striking her.
These charges send a message to anyone who believes they can assault federal officers under the pretext of protest. Attorney General Pamela Bondi echoed that statement, calling the attacks an assault on civilized society itself. Both officials stressed that while the right to peaceful protest is protected under the First Amendment, the line is crossed the moment violence or intimidation targets federal personnel. FBI Director Akil Davis said the Bureau had tracked the group's activities for months, adding that, "What we saw in Camarillo was not protest, it was organized resistance, planned to provoke confrontation and spread online disinformation about federal enforcement." Behind the scenes, the investigative support network was extensive. The FBI Los Angeles Field Office led the intelligence component, assisted by Homeland Security Investigations HSI, the ATF Los Angeles Division, and the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. Tactical support came from CBPBORTAC and local SWAT teams, which carried out the high-risk arrests. Investigators say digital forensics teams have now decrypted hundreds of encrypted messages, revealing not only the riot's planning, but also the group's surveillance of immigration facilities across Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. The chats included instructions for distraction teams, designed to draw agents away from primary targets during enforcement operations, and watch teams tasked with filming federal officers for online broadcast. One recovered file contained GPS coordinates of DHS vehicles and officer housing locations, confirming the network's efforts to stalk government personnel. Officials said these findings prove the events at Glass House were not spontaneous acts of anger, but the result of an organized campaign to disrupt and endanger federal law enforcement. The DOJ and FBI have vowed to continue investigating VC Defensa's leadership, including potential funding sources from out-of-state activist groups. Agents described the investigation as far from over. "What we dismantled today," one senior official said, "was only the operational arm. The financiers and digital organizers are next." As the dust settled from the raids, the FBI Los Angeles Field Office issued an urgent public appeal. At least one unidentified individual involved in the Glass House Farms riot had opened fire on federal agents during the confrontation. Investigators believe the suspect, a masked male wearing dark clothing, fired a handgun from behind a farm structure before fleeing through nearby fields. No agents were hit, but ballistic testing later confirmed that shell casings recovered at the scene matched a 9mm semi-automatic pistol used in prior criminal activity in Ventura County. In response, FBI Assistant Director Akil Davis announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to the shooter's arrest and conviction. "This was a deliberate attack on law enforcement," Davis said. "We will pursue the gunman relentlessly, and anyone who aids or harbors him will face prosecution." agents distributed wanted posters across Southern California and coordinated with ATF ballistics experts to trace the weapon's purchase history. Federal sources confirm that the fugitive's identity is known but being withheld to prevent flight or interference with ongoing surveillance operations. While the investigation intensifies, Justice Department officials are emphasizing the broader message: violence under the guise of activism will be prosecuted as organized criminal conduct. The DOJ's Civil Disorder Division released a detailed legal statement outlining how the VC Defensa network crossed the threshold from protest to conspiracy. Investigators found evidence that the group used encrypted platforms to coordinate nationwide rapid response alerts, warning activists when immigration enforcement was underway. These alerts were accompanied by instructions for staging diversions, blocking roads, and documenting federal agents' movements online. Behavior prosecutors now classify as organized intimidation of law enforcement. In one internal message, a group leader wrote, "The goal is to choke the system, make them too scared to show up." The Justice Department says such coordination meets the legal definition of civil disorder and the willful obstruction of federal officers, both carrying significant prison terms. Attorney General Pamela Bondi reaffirmed that the Constitution protects speech, not assault. When you trap federal convoys, throw projectiles, and discharge weapons at officers, you cease to be protesters. You become criminals. The arrests mark a critical stage in Operation Glass House, part of the Justice Department's nationwide campaign Operation Take Back America, which targets violent resistance to immigration enforcement and other federal missions. FBI analysts describe the case as a blueprint for dismantling emerging resistance networks that exploit social media to mobilize violence. In Washington, DHS intelligence officials are reviewing encrypted data seized during the arrests to identify potential affiliates in Oregon, Nevada, and Arizona, where similar protest groups have attempted to obstruct immigration operations. This is about prevention as much as prosecution, one senior DHS official said. We want to break these networks before they evolve into armed movements. As the investigation moves forward, officials say additional indictments are expected, and more suspects could be charged as digital evidence continues to unfold. Federal sources confirmed that forensics teams are still processing over a terabyte of encrypted data, messages, location pings, and financial transactions linking VC Defensa to other activist collectives. Inside the Los Angeles DOJ Command Center, prosecutors are already preparing secondary warrants targeting the network's financiers and media coordinators. For law enforcement, the mission continues. Peaceful protest is a right, one senior FBI agent said, but when that protest turns into an ambush, accountability follows. The individuals who think they can attack federal officers and disappear into the crowd are learning the hard way. There is nowhere to hide.